Welcome to Francis Zainoeddin's presentation, Older Women, Include Them on the Road to Equality. The presentation was originally delivered to members of Soroptimist International of the Americas in the USA Northwestern region on March 12, 2022. For this video, the slides are voiced over using Francis's original speaking notes. I shall talk about the situation of many older women around the world. The United Nations tells us the world is aging. Women live longer than men. By 2030, the number of people aged 60 years and older will reach 1.4 billion, comprising 16.5% of the world population. This will represent a 38% increase from 2019, compared to a 7.3% increase for those between the ages of 15 to 24, and a 2.2% increase for those between 0 to 14 years. The fastest growing demographic cohort is 80 and above, and women make up 61% of that group. When we talk about women, are we interested in women of all ages? Because of a lifetime of discrimination, women end up with few savings and assets to help them with old age. Many women, particularly those in developing countries, remain illiterate because they did not have opportunities to attend school. When they have no schooling, they have few employment opportunities. Without a job, how can they accumulate savings? How can they earn a pension? What happens then when she becomes a widow? Many do not have property rights when their husbands die. A lifetime of care work goes unpaid. There is no recognition of their worth. In sub-Saharan Africa, older women and grandmothers are raising millions of young people orphaned by parents who died from HIV/AIDS. Let's not overlook the fact that violence against women does not end at 49, which has traditionally been the cutoff age for collecting data, the end of reproductive years. Older women also suffer from abuse, sadly mostly from their family members or other caregivers, physical, mental, and financial abuse. It is not rare that older women are abandoned. At a side event during the CSW a few years ago, I was made aware of the annual pilgrimage in India of millions of Hindus who travel to the river Ganges to purify their bodies, and families leaving behind their older parents, usually older women, at temples because they are an economic burden. In some villages in Africa and India, women over the age of 60 are considered witches, responsible for bad harvests, sudden illnesses in their villages, heavy rains, and conflicts. In July 2021, in Ghana, a 90-year-old woman was accused of witchcraft and was whipped to death, while others stood by and watched. This was caught on a video. In October 2021, in Kenya, 4 older widows were burned to death, accused of being witches. Accusers were relatives from families of their deceased husbands. The deceased husbands' families usually disinherit the children and grab the property. There is actually a Human Rights Council resolution calling for the elimination of harmful practices related to accusations of witchcraft and ritual attacks that result in human rights violations. Soroptimists are doers. They help, they provide, they educate, they build, they change the lives of women and girls. A quick look on the website and one is impressed. Soroptimists provide help to women and girls for their education, including life skills, books, building schools, libraries, agricultural training, building vegetable gardens, arts and crafts, sewing. Soroptimists also help create sustainable food gardens to ensure that girls get enough to eat so that they can learn better. Soroptimists share skills and knowledge for job hunting, help migrants to adapt to their new environment, conduct workshops to strengthen self-confidence, increase awareness of gender equality in working life. Soroptimists donate clothes, provide food and other essentials, caring for those in homeless shelters. Soroptimists provide medical and midwife care, sexual health education, and water and sanitation. Soroptimists care for those who suffer from violence and neglect, building sanctuaries, facilitating access to shelters, providing legal advice and counseling. In the course of our work, let's keep an eye open for older women. Do the young women and girls we serve have grandmothers in their lives? Are the young women and girls being raised by grandmothers? Perhaps the young women and girls we are helping have responsibilities for their grandparents. Do we see older women as farmers, water carriers, selling fruits and vegetables in the local market, caregivers? In the towns and villages where we have projects, do we notice older women? Where are they and what are they doing? Are they isolated? Are they suffering because they do not have affordable and accessible health care? Do we see any signs of abuse and neglect? When we are helping young women and girls, we don't want their education, skills, employment opportunities, access to health care, all to disappear as they get older. When we advocate for educating girls, we should include older women who may have missed out on an education when they were young. Some older women have never learned to read or write. We can include them by taking a life course approach to training and upgrading skills to ensure their autonomy and independence in older age. Their grandchildren will benefit too. Bring them along the journey to equality. When we advocate for sexual and reproductive health rights, we should include older women in terms of reproductive biology and gynecological issues throughout the life course. Don't just think about women during their reproductive years. Older women suffer from breast cancer, cervical cancer, hysterectomies, fistula. Bring them along the journey to equality. When we advocate for equal employment opportunities for women, what age group are we concerned about? At what age should a woman be told she is no longer needed in her job because she is too old? When we care for the homeless, are we recognizing the special needs of older women, their health concerns, their ailments, their disabilities? And when we fight against violence and abuse, do we understand the suffering of older women? My good friend Susan Somers will enlighten us. This is an example of inclusion of older women in a literacy class in Nepal. There were actually men who attended at the beginning, but they felt intimidated by the energy, commitment, and success of the women, so they left. Aging Nepal is an NGO that works to improve the lives of older persons. In 2016, the NGO Committee on Aging in New York awarded a grant for Aging Nepal's literacy program for older persons, but only older women stayed the course. The older women learned to read and write numerals, including their own name, read street names, and were able to venture outside their home without fear of getting lost, read signs at the local market, make and receive phone calls, read the clock, and use home appliances with signs such as on, off, hot, cold. They even learned some English words. Education is never about just learning to read and write and do mathematics. Education gave the women a sense of independence, autonomy, pride, self-confidence. Their ability to read and write helped them gain respect. It helped them help their families, particularly their grandchildren. The benefits for the older women also became benefits for their families. On September 8th this year, Aging Nepal received one of the 5 2020 UNESCO Literacy Prizes. Are we talking about women of all ages or only up to 49? When do women become invisible? When do they expect to be ignored or abandoned? When are they considered a burden and of no use? At what age does a woman lose her rights? But we can also celebrate older women. Many are independent, healthy, active contributors to their families, their communities, and to the national economy. Many have had careers and continue to work, have second careers, and many do amazing volunteer work. Look at many of us. Many pay taxes and are not a burden. Many vote. Older women count, and they should be counted too. Just a few words about what we do and what we want to change. Clearly, there are immediate needs requiring immediate response. We absolutely must continue to provide help and care. But we also want to think about long-term solutions. We must also think about changing policy. Otherwise, the under and uneducated will continue to be under and uneducated. The homeless will remain homeless. The hungry will remain hungry. Access to water and sanitation will continue to be a struggle. We must also hold governments accountable. We must pay attention to what governments have pledged to do at the international levels, CEDAW, CRC, CRPD, and other commitments to action like the Sustainable Development Goals, universal health care, the human rights to safe drinking water and sanitation, to name a few. we must use international treaties and agreements to push our governments to meet their commitments. At the global level, Soroptimist international representatives at the UN will alert Soroptimists of key decisions taken so that we can take them to local and national authorities and advocate for compliance. And we need to fight discrimination on the grounds of age. Legislation and policies should take a life course approach, from cradle to grave, for all people of all ages, everywhere. These are various entities working on women's issues. The Open-Ended Working Group on Aging holds discussions on whether or not there should be an international legal instrument to protect the rights of older persons, along the lines of CEDAW 1979, CRC 1989, and CRPD 2006. International human rights treaties have enormous impact on national legislation, policies, and programs. Recognition of older persons as rights holders, codification of their rights in one single document as a tool for empowerment and protection, provision of common global understanding of definitions and minimum standards of practice, requirement for collection of data, establish laws, policies, and programs that would include older persons, and raising awareness. Soroptimists do amazing work to educate and empower women and girls. At the global level, Soroptimists speak up for women and girls around the world to make sure that governments pay attention, implement what has been agreed, and are held accountable, from local to global to local. We must all be constantly vigilant, otherwise we lose what we have gained over the years to improve the lives of women everywhere.